Hello, this is Roger G, and I hope you enjoy this slideshow about Abby and Amia's trips to Washington, D.C. and New York City. Our plan was to take our twin granddaughters to those two cities one at a time in back-to-back trips. Additionally, we had to squeeze the trips in between their last day of school and their family vacation. Both trips started with a Subway breakfast sandwich and a ride in our son's car to LAX. Abby's trip started on June 12th. She really didn't have any trouble on her trip. On the other hand, Amia, when she went, she got stopped at the TSA checkpoint at LAX. Her hands were checked for bomb residue. Was the TSA officer just playing with our 10-year-old or not? We had bus tours scheduled for both of the girls, and for Abby, it was a Monuments by Moonlight tour, and you can see this is the Washington Monument right here, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And this one here is Lincoln Memorial. There's President Lincoln right there sitting in his chair. Boy, he really stands out at night. We tried to get the same tour for Amia, but it rained the two nights we had tried to schedule it. So we ended up doing a bus tour by day for her. And here is the Jefferson Memorial. That was pretty nice. And then this one was really pretty spectacular. This was the National World War II Memorial. We applied for and got tours of the White House. And these unguided tours were surprisingly short. We spent more time getting approved by the Secret Service officers than actually on the tour. The only thing surprising for me was that the West Wing was a lot less conspicuous than I had expected. After the White House tours, we walked over to the Visitor Center, and we thought that was a lot more interesting. We very much enjoyed the short video that they presented on life in the People's House. Both kids wanted to go to Ford's Theater to learn about where President Lincoln was shot, and we were surprised about that, but then again, he was their favorite president. So this is Abby with Lynn at the entrance to the Ford's Theater, and this is Amia across the street where Lincoln actually died. This is a picture I took of the actual pistol that John Wilkes Booth used to assassinate the president. And this is a picture of Lincoln's blood on one of the pillows. And this was just a little bit gruesome for the kids. After going through the museum down below, then we were walked upstairs into the theater itself. And so this is when we saw the presidential box in which Lincoln was killed. We were surprised that there was a picture of George Washington in the front, and the only explanation given is that picture was there when he was killed. Neither kid was interested in Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, so at the last minute I decided to take Amia to the Wax Museum, and she really enjoyed seeing all the presidents. Here she is with George Washington crossing the Delaware, and over here she's with President Lincoln in the box. And this person right here is Juliet Gordon Low. She's the woman who started the American Girl Scouts, and it looks like Amia is about to introduce Martin Luther King. These are Amia's favorite pictures. This one is of Taylor Swift, and this one over here is of Michael Jackson. We were hoping that the U.S. Capitol tours was going to be more interesting than the tour of the White House, and it certainly was. Here's Abby and Amia. They're in the rotunda right now, and they're standing on the geographical center of Washington, D.C. Our guide was telling us about the Statue of Freedom's head, and on the top of the dome, it always faces the east. Symbolically, the sun never sets on the freedoms that we have in our country. I photographed the statue of President Ford. He used to mow his aunt's lawn His aunt was one of Lynn's neighbors when she was growing up in East Grand Rapids. I also took a picture of King Kamehameha, and he represented Hawaii. At the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, we learned that our future currency is going to be a lot more colorful than the money that has been printed in the past. And I think the kids got a kick out of what $1 million looks like. Don't you like these benches decorated with money? And here I am, Mr. Moneybags. The girls stood up here and they figured out that each of them was worth about $1,328,100 at this time. And we got a hot news flash, and that is that the woman was going to replace Alexander Hamilton on the $10 bill in 2020. We would like to see Sally Ride, the first woman astronaut selected. She lived here in San Diego, and she taught at UCSD before she died. My plan for both Abby and Amia when we arrived at the Lincoln Memorial was to photograph them standing in front holding a Lincoln penny. The plan was not a total success because it was hard to see the memorial on the back of the penny. I should have used the $5 bill. It had a much larger picture on its back. Here's Amia with that penny as well. On the other hand, Abby had another plan. She wanted to be photographed holding the Washington Monument in her hand. I did not quite get the obelisk positioned in her hand correctly. Another tourist took a picture of us with the monument coming right out of Abby's head. I did get a fairly decent picture of Amia holding the Washington Monument in her hand. Look at that. Pretty good. Our surprise to Abby was a ride on the Capitol Wheel, which is a very large Ferris wheel at National Harbor. Walt and Janie Corliss drove us there and joined us for the experience. So here's Walt, and here's Janie. They've been friends of ours for many, many, many years. The ride was fun for all of us. Abby really liked her surprise. And then Lynn and I had a different surprise in store for Amia. We took a taxi to the Landsberg Theater and saw Potted Potter, which was a spoof on the 7 Harry Potter books. Amia and I laughed all through the 70-minute show. Lynn didn't quite understand the humor because she had not read the books. Abby hadn't read the books either, so we didn't think she'd enjoy it. We hadn't planned on visiting the Washington National Cathedral, but we're certainly glad that we did. And so here's Lynn and Abby in front of the cathedral, and Abby really enjoyed the tour through the cathedral. On the other hand, when we got to the cathedral with Amia, there was a funeral going on, and we thought it was a military funeral. Actually, they were practicing just in case a current or former president dies suddenly. So with Amia, we had to go eat at the City Cafe that was next to the cathedral. Amia has a waffle with some Nutella spread on it. Our next part of the trip is to go from Washington to New York City on the Amtrak train, and this was a first for both of the girls. Abby decided she wanted to see The Lion King. That was a great choice for her. She loved the artistic way they used to make the actors look like animals. And this was the second time for Lynn to see the show, but she liked it even better because she knew the storyline. I went to see the Book of Mormon, and I thoroughly enjoyed that show. I plan to see it again and take Lynn. I think she'd enjoy the humor in it. Then Amia decided she'd like to see the musical Aladdin. I had my fingers crossed because I couldn't see how any show would be as good as The Lion King. I should not have worried. The 322 different costumes were absolutely beautiful. The scenery was spectacular. We thoroughly enjoyed seeing the genie, the evil uncle who wanted to be the sultan, and his roly-poly sidekick. Amia and I just loved the show. We took both Abby and Amia to Times Square. We wanted them to experience the crossroads of the world. Both of them, though, thought it was just a little bit too crowded for them. We also took them to see the Empire State Building. We thought that they should experience the most photographed skyscraper in the world. Before we took the elevator to the 86th floor, we went to the Sky Ride show on the second floor. Both girls loved the virtual helicopter ride around Manhattan. And then they were amazed at how fast the main elevator went up towards the 86th floor. It recorded every 10th floor when it got up to speed. We also thought the twins would love to ride on the Beast. And it was a boat that's powered by two 3,000 horsepower jet engines. They loved this thrill ride. On the day we took Abby, it was cool and cloudy. She really didn't get wet from the waves. She did get a little wet when a crewman aimed a super soaker at her. Here we are getting photographed near the Statue of Liberty. When we took Amia, it was a perfect day to ride the Beast down the Hudson River. After the crewman took this picture, the boat cabin managed to get us thoroughly wet from the waves. Amia thought this was an awesome thrill ride. Here are some pictures that I took of Abby and Amia in front of the Embassy Suites near the Convention Center. She looks like she has a hurt arm, and let's see, Abby looks like she's looking for a sore tooth. And here's a couple pictures of their favorite foods. This is a red velvet cupcake, and look at the size of that cheese pizza. I hope that you like these pictures and the slideshow as a whole.